Hey there, welcome to the Enduro Bureau's recap and analysis from round 4 of the 2025 Fmsq Canadian National Cross Country Championship, where the series took its first trip to the Saguenay region of Quebec and the brand new course built for Vallée des Géants. Let's take a look at how things shook out, and as always, let's get started with the bottom line up front. First, Tyler Medaglia kept his perfect season going with a winning ride at round 4, picking up the victory ahead of KTM Canada teammates Alex Goujon and Phil Cheney. Medaglia now holds a 12-point championship lead over Goujon as the series gets ready to enter its second half. On the pro women's side, it was defending series champ Véronique Pellerin-Chainé taking her third win of the first 4 races of the season as she beat out Felicia Robichaud and Mila Paget in the Saguenay Hills. Vero has built up what is starting to look like an insurmountable 17-point lead over Robichaud in the overall with 4 races left to go. Now, let's dig a little deeper into the story behind the race, starting with the pro men. Tyler Medaglia came into round 4 with a perfect start to the season behind him, after picking up the wins at round 1's Sand Trap, round 2's Lac Taureau, and round 3's Gopher Dunes. Those fast sand tracks had played to Medaglia's MX strengths, but Vallée des Géants was the first round to provide some more technical challenges in the wood. Medaglia certainly didn't seem concerned about it ahead of the race, though. He showed his technical riding ability with his consecutive wins at the Corduroy Enduro, his ISDE results, and in previous years at the odd Fmsq round he was able to make it to. Talking with the series leader ahead of the race, he spoke about how much the track reminded him of his home track in Nova Scotia, and noted that he didn't think it was going to be rocky enough to warrant a change from the paddle tire he ran in the first 3 rounds. Alex Goujon came into round 4 looking for a way to get ahead of Medaglia on the track and keep ahead of him to take his first win of the 2025 season after placing second in each of the first 3 rounds. There's no doubt that 4-time defending Fmsq champ has been frustrated, and it seemed highly likely that he was looking forward to the change of terrain that Saguenay offered. Goujon had also raced 2 rounds of the Canadian MX Triple Crown Series in the previous weeks, and getting those national level gate drops in could only help him back at Fmsq. The other question we were asking coming into round 4 is if anyone could break into the top 3 at a race other than Medaglia, Goujon, and Loic Leonard, who had finished in the same 1-2-3 order of each of the first 3 races. As it turns out, we did get some movement on this front, but not from the series leader. A final note from the pre-race fun, Sherco Canada's Owen McKill was forced to miss Vallée des Géants after sustaining a wrist injury at the finale of the SOR Sprint Enduro Championship out in Alberta the weekend prior. We're hoping to see the young BC rider back for round 5 at Crab Mountain, and we're also hoping that his wrist is back to 100% for ISDE Italy. The race started with Medaglia and Goujon buried mid-pack off the flag drop. Medaglia immediately showcased his motocross skills on the first sandy moto section by making all kinds of passes to get to the front as the field hit the first wood section early in the lap. By the end of lap 1, it was a replica of the first 3 rounds, with Medaglia in the lead, followed by Goujon and Leonard. Goujon's teammate Phil Cheney had his best start of the season by far, as he came through in 4th place at the end of the lap, just ahead of Jake Michaud, after being buried back in 10th or 11th with Medaglia and Goujon. From there it was, once again, all Medaglia, as he held the lead to the finish despite persistent fog and goggle issues over the first 3 laps. Goujon actually set the fastest lap 2 time, while Medaglia only ran the 4th fastest time for that lap. But that was just enough to keep him in front of Goujon by just over 1 second as they headed out for lap 3. From that point, the series leader was able to put 10 to 15 seconds into Goujon every lap, except for lap 5 where Goujon managed to pull 3 seconds back. As we saw in the first 3 races of the 2025 championship though, Medaglia was able to put in a late race sprint to solidify his lead and effectively lock in the win. This time it was on lap 8, where his 14:49.987 lap time devastated the field, with Leonard clocking a 15:17.271 back in 4th place, and Goujon only managing a 15:32.787 time back in 2nd. From there, Medaglia continued to outpace Goujon over the final 2 laps to finish at 2 minutes and 18 seconds ahead of the 4-time defending Fmsq champion. Now, looking at the rest of the field, things began to change on lap 2 as Leonard dropped from 3rd to 5th, with Cheney and Michaud both getting past him. Leonard continued to struggle on lap 3 with chain issues and a minor crash in the 2nd mud hole, while Cheney turned on the afterburners to get past Goujon for 2nd place on lap 4, a position that he was able to hold through lap 6 when Goujon got past him for good. Leonard started to bounce back in the final 4 laps of the race by setting the 3rd fastest time on lap 6, the 2nd fastest times on lap 8 and 9, and the fastest times on laps 7 and 10. Unfortunately, he was too far back from the Cheney-Goujon battle by that point, and he would finish off the podium for the first time this season, 40 seconds back of 3rd place. While Jake Michaud had a great first phase of the race that included a 2nd lap at 99.3% of the fastest time on that lap, he faded from there, struggling at or below 95% of the fastest laps until he came back with a 97.3% lap 9 surge. This seemed to be the final bullet in his chamber, though, as he finished the final lap at just 87.8 of the fastest lap time. But his P5 finish was good enough to keep him in fourth overall for the championship, 2 points ahead of Cheney and 8 points ahead of Jean-Olivier Goulet back in sixth overall. With the first half of the season now complete, Medaille's 12-point overall lead ahead of Goujon and a 22-point lead over Leonard is starting to look tough to overcome. With just a 3-point differential between a first and second place race finish, we're now at a point where Goujon will need to win the remaining 4 rounds to control his own fate, as FMSQ does not award bonus points for the final round, allow drop rounds for the pro classes. If Medaglia manages a 5th consecutive win at round 5 in New Brunswick, Goujon will need him to finish 3rd or worse at round 6 and win out the last 3 rounds to have a hope of defending his series championship. No matter what, though, Medaglia is firmly in the driver's seat now, and the rest of the field needs to find an answer for him very quickly. Heading over to the pro women's race, it was clear that Véronique Pellerin-Chainé was the favorite, and she proved it again with a surgical ride that saw her set the fastest times on 4 of the 6 laps raced, with laps 3 and 4 being the only ones she wasn't the fastest. On those fastest 4 laps, she was putting anywhere from 1.8 to 4.5% better times than the next 2 fastest riders. Out on track, we watched Vero take advantage of a growing time cushion at over a minute on lap 2 to be very deliberate with line choices in the first half of the race, slowing down to assess line options as the mud holes on course started to deepen. When her time cushion dropped to 21.3 seconds at the end of lap 4, she responded with a vicious lap 5 that saw her push the gap back out to a minute 33. She followed that up with another wicked final lap on lap 6 that put another 31 seconds into the field for a 2-minute and 3-second margin of victory. This was a dominating performance mixed with solid race strategy on a very hot and humid day, and with a 17-point overall championship lead, it's hard to imagine a scenario, barring injury or a string of mechanical disasters, where she doesn't win the series. This leads to one of the round 4 storylines that we were very interested in, the battle for the remaining 2 overall pro women's podium spots between Felicia Robichaud, Mila Paget, and Emma Sharpless. Coming into round 4, these 3 riders were separated by only 3 points, with Robichaud at 58, Paget at 56, and Sharpless at 55. This narrow spread meant that we were in for some exciting racing around the front of the race, and these ladies delivered. With Vero taking that early lead on lap 1, it was Sharpless and Paget coming through the lap finish just under 20 seconds behind the eventual race winner, and separated by just 1.4 seconds, with Robichaud another 19 seconds back. As Sharpless and Paget continued to battle for the P2 spot, Robichaud adopted a slightly conservative race strategy that saw her keeping those 2 within a reasonable time gap and waiting for them to force each other into mistakes or heavy fatigue. We saw this play out over laps 2 and 3, with Sharpless running into troubles on lap 3 and turning in a 20-minute and 15.6 second lap, while Robichaud pounced to put in the fastest lap 3 time at 17:30.6, while Paget put in the second fastest lap time. This effectively ended Sharpless's round 4 podium hopes, as that slow lap caused her to be the first rider to miss the time cut to start the 6th and final lap. Paget was the next to falter with a 19:02 lap 5 that was only good enough for 5th fastest, while Robichaud put in a 17:52 time that pushed her into second place overall, where she would stay to the finish. Paget managed to hang on for P3, with Sharpless coming home in P4 1 lap down. This changes the point spread between these 3 riders a little bit, although they stay in the same order for the overall. Robichaud is now at 80 points behind Vero's 97, with Paget at 76 and Sharpless at 73. As we move to much more technical tracks at round 5's Crab Mountain and round 6 Mont Laurier, this is going to remain a really fun battle to watch. Thanks for tuning in, and we're looking forward to bringing you our coverage from round 5 at Crab Mountain, New Brunswick, coming up in just over a week and a half.